Hello, distinguished viewers all over the world. Welcome once again to Simplified Maths Class. I am Mr. Mike Omini, and today I bring to you simple interest, which is maths for finance, one of the aspects of maths for finance. So we take simple interest. All right. If a particular sum of money is invested, let's say for a number of years and at a particular interest rate per annum, you can be able to find the simple interest at the end of that period using the formula interest as the simple interest is equals to PTR over 100. All right, where INT is a simple interest. That's a simple interest. And then P is the principal. That's the lump sum of money that is invested. And then T is the time, usually in years. And then R is the rate of interest, the rate percent. Alright, so anytime we want to find the simple interest on a sum that is invested, alright, for a given period and for a particular interest rate per annum, that's the formula we use. Interest is equals to principal times time times rate all over 100. And by change of subject of formula, we can also find the principal. By change of subject of formula, we can also find the time. By change of subject of formula, we can also find the rate per annum. All right? So we can do all that by changing the subject of formula from interest to all this. And we'll have examples to solve. All right, so let's take an example on interest. Simple interest number 1. Find the simple interest on an investment of, let's say, 20,000 naira for 5 years at the rate 8% per annum. So we want to find the simple interest on an investment of 20,000 naira, which was invested for 5 years at the rate of 8% per annum. All right, is that simple? All you need to do is to bring out your interest, which is a simple interest, because they say we should find the simple interest. So the interest is principal times time times rate all over 100. So the lump sum that is invested is the principal. The sum invested, which is 20,000 naira, is the principal. All right, our time, we were told, is for 5 years. So that's 5 years. And then the rate is 8% per annum. The rate is 8%. But understand that sometimes the time can be given in months or in weeks. So you have to prorate. And sometimes the rate can be given as a fraction, maybe 2.5%, 5.5%, as the case may be. All right, so let's try that. So we have our interest will be equals to the principal is 20,000 naira times the time is 5 years times the rate is 8%, all divided by 100. So we are going to multiply 20,000 by 5 by 8. So we are going to have 20,000 times 5 times 8. So that gives us 800,000. So we are going to have 800,000. 800,000. And then we divide by 100. So it means that the interest at the end of 5 years for that investment will be, so if we divide that by that, we'll have 8,000 naira. Please take note of that. It therefore means that at the end of these 5 years, 20,000 naira that is invested for 5 years at 8% per annum, at the end of that 5 years, you have an interest of 8,000. And of course, if you have an interest of 8,000, it means your portfolio is now 28,000, meaning that your principal, which is the sum of the money invested plus the interest, will give you the amount you are to get at the end of that 5 years, and that amount will be 28,000. 8,000 naira. It means if you use 20,000 naira for 5 years at 8% per annum on simple interest basis, at the end of the 5 years, you are cashing out 28,000 naira, where your 8,000 naira is the interest added on your investment. Okay, so let's try another one before we take principal and the rest. Okay, so question number 2. In number 2, we are going to find the simple interest. No, this time around, find the amount. Find the amount realized on a loan or on an investment or on a portfolio or an investment, whichever one of, let's say, 525,000 naira. Let's say for, let's say for 13 months at the rate of, let's say 4.5% per annum. 4.5% per annum. Okay, so per annum, sometimes you just see this way, PA. Alright, so it still means per annum. So we want to find the amount that is realized on an investment of 525,000 for 13 months at the rate of 4.5% per annum. So it's that simple. We still have this. The interest first is what you have to calculate before you get the amount. So the first thing we need to know is the principal sum is 525,000 naira. The time here is 13 months. Of course, if you want to convert 13 months to years, you have to divide the 13 by 12. So our 13 months, if you divide by 12, you've been able to convert this to years. So if you're giving the information in weeks, let's say 48 weeks, you have to divide 48 by how many weeks makes a year, which is 52 weeks. But if you're giving the information in months, you divide by 12 because it is 12 months that makes a year. If the information is given in weeks, divide the weeks by 52 because it is 52 weeks that makes a year. If the information is given in days, you divide by 365 because 365 days makes a year. It depends on what you are given. Alright, so we have the rate. The rate itself is 4.5%. Okay, so 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1, 9/2. So 4.5% is the same thing as 9/2%. So we should always express our rate in that fraction. So we can able to now input it into the formula to find the interest. So if you want to find the interest, of course, the interest is principal is 525 times the time. Our time is 13/12 months. So we are having 13 all over 12 times the rate. The rate is 9/2. So we are going to have 9/2. Alright, so everything over 100, meaning that we'll have the over 100. So it means our 100 now is being multiplied by the denominator of the time, which is 12, and the denominator of the rate, which is 2. So understand that we have 525,000 times 13 times 9. 9 is over 2, 13 is over 12. As you have here, 13/12, so it comes that way. 9/2, which is the rate, comes that way. And then this is the initial 100. So take note of that. So we are going to have the interest. Our interest will be equals to, so let's multiply 525,000 times 13 times 9. So we are going to have the numerator to be 61425,000. 61425,000. So if you multiply all that, you have that. So here we are going to multiply 12 times 2, 24 times this. So that will give us 2400. So we have multiplied 100 by 12 by 2 to give us this. So we cannot divide this by this. So let's divide that. Divided by 2,400. So we are going to have an interest of 25593. So we are going to have a simple interest which will be 255.93. So that will be 25,593.75 kobo. So that's your simple interest. Now, after getting the simple interest, we've been asked to find the amount at the end of the period. So you can now simply say that amount is always equal to the principal added to the interest. The principal you started with, which is 525,000, 525,000, all right? So that will be 525,000 plus the interest which has been realized on that investment, 25,593, 25,593.75. So which means your amount at the end of the period is to add the interest to the principal, which is 525,000, and you have the amount. So our amount will simply be, amount realized will be, all right, 550,593.75. So this will be the amount at the end of the period. It therefore means that if you invest 525,000 naira in an investment, all right, for 13 months, which is a year and 1 month, for 13 months, at the rate of 4% per annum, at the end of that period of 13 months, you are going to cash out 550,593, meaning that your interest, your simple interest, is 25,593.75. All right, so that's how we calculate the interest, the simple interest, and the amount. And of course, don't forget that the amount is always the principal plus the interest. Okay, so what happens if you're asked to find any of the other parameters? What do we do? Assuming we are asked to find the other parameters. So understand that already we said the simple interest, all right? You say the simple interest, which is the INT, is equals to principal times time times rate all over 100. So by change of subject or formula, if we are to find the principal will always be interest times 100. Interest times 100 divided by time times rate, T times R. In the same manner, even if you're asked to find the time of course will still be interest times 100 all over principal times rate. That will be the time. And of course, if we want to find the rate will be equals to interest times 100 all over principal times time. So whichever one you're asked to find, just understand that apart from just finding the interest, you can also be asked to find the principal or the time or the rate by changing the subject or formula to get all this. So that is that. All right, so we can apply this to solve a scenario problem. All right, we can do the application. Let's say, for instance, we've been asked to find the time. We've been asked to find the time for a portfolio or an investment that will yield a particular amount of money as interest. All right, so let's see how we can do that, assuming the question comes that way. We can be asked to find, number 3, find the time for which 50,000 naira will amount to let's say 120,000 naira, 120,000 naira at the simple interest rates, of 10% per annum. Okay, we can use 10%, or let's say of 12% per annum. Okay, so here we want to find the time for which 50,000 naira will amount to 120,000 naira at the simple interest rate of 12%. So let's quickly see. We want to find the time. And understand that time is given as interest times 100 all over principal times rate. So that is just the formula for finding the time, which is this. All right. So first and foremost, we need to get out our interest. Our interest has been given. The interest is just the amount minus the principal, because they say find the time for which this money will amount to this money. So the amount is 120. Take note. So the interest is amount minus principal, and the amount there is 120. Minus the principal sum is the sum that was invested at the beginning of that period, which is 50,000 naira. So of course you can have a simple interest of 70,000. 120 minus 50,000 will give us 70. It therefore means that the interest is 70,000 naira, which is the amount minus the principal. Okay, so we are done with looking for the interest. We need the principal. Of course, the principal sum is the beginning fund that was invested, which is 50,000 naira. So that is the principal. And we need the rate. The rate, of course, we see is 12%. 12%. All right, so we are going to have our time to be equals to interest. Interest is 70,000. 70,000 times 100, as we have in the formula, divided by the principal. Principal is 50,000. 50,000 times, we have the rate, and the rate is 12%. So 12, you have 12 there. So we can be able to know the time for this. So our time will be equals to, let's multiply this by 100. So we are going to have 7. So if you multiply this by this, we are going to have 7 with 6 zeros. All right, so we are done with that. So multiply 12 by 50,000. 12 times 50,000. So we have 600,000. 600,000. So we need our time in years. Of course, 0 crosses 0. All right. So we have 70 divided by 6. Of course, you can just divide all that by this without crossing out. Okay, so 70 divided by 6, we are going to have 70 divided by 6, and that will be 11.6 or 11.7. So we are going to have 11.7 years approximately. So we are going to have 11.7 years approximately. And this, of course, if you take 0.7 and multiply by 12, you will have you're going to have 8.4. It therefore means that this is 11 years and 8 months. That's what it means, because what we have is 11.7 years. So you can take this 0.7, which is 0.7, and multiply by 12 to convert it to years, and you have 8 point something. So which means it is 11 years and 8 months. But just simply report it as 11.7 years so that you don't get confused. So that is the time for which 50,000 naira will amount to 120,000 naira if it is invested at a simple interest rate of 12%. It is that simple. So at the end of that, at the end of 11.7 years, your 50,000 can become 120,000, meaning you will have an interest of 50,000, an interest of 70,000 naira if that money was invested at a simple interest rate of 12%. Please take note of that. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's say a question is given that you are asked to find maybe the rate in percent. Time is always in years, but if it is the rate, you must always express the rate in percent. So let's try another question. Let's say question number 4. Find the rate percent if, let's say, 82,000 naira will yield 82,000 naira, let's say, will yield an interest of maybe 14,000 that will yield an interest, or a simple interest. Will yield a simple interest. Will yield a simple interest of, let's say, 15,000 naira after 4 years. So what we want to find here in this scenario is to find the rate percent. What rate percent applicable in a simple interest situation, all right, will give us a simple interest of 15,000 naira for a principal sum of 82,000 naira that was invested for 4 years. All right, so if you look at this, they want us to find the rate. Our rate, of course, is given as interest times 100 all over principal times time. Principal times time. That's the rate. You have it here as the rate. So in the same manner, you can find principal. We've done the time, we've done this, we've done that. You can try the principal on your own. So how do we do this? So first and foremost, they find the rate percent if 82,000. It means that the principal itself is 82,000. Will yield a simple interest. That means our interest, simple interest of how much? 15,000. It means that the simple interest is 15,000 after 4 years. That means the time is 4 years. So how do we get the rate? Our rate will be equals to interest, which is 15,000 times 100 all over principal 82,000. Principal 82,000 times the time. The time is 4 years. And please don't forget, if the time is 4 months, 4 months in years will be 4 over 12. So you would have had 4 over 12 here, and the 12 here will simply climb up here. Please take note. If the time was given in 4 months, so you would have had 4 over 12 here. So the 12 down here will simply climb up to become the numerator. Please take note. All right, so we are going to have the rate to be equals to, so multiply 15,000 times 100. So we'll have this all over. We'll multiply 82,000 times 4. All right, so we are going to multiply 82,000 times 4. 82,000 times 4 will be 328,000. So we'll have 328. All right, so how do we get the rate? So we'll simply divide the numerator by the denominator. 150,000. So we divide it by 328,000. So what do we have? So we have a rate percent of 4.6. So we have 4.6%. So that will be the rate percent. Please take note of that. It therefore means that if our 82,000 naira principal will yield a simple interest of 15,000 naira after 4 years, it therefore means that the rate that is applied is 4.6% rate. In that same manner, we can also find the principal. Assuming you have been given interest, time, and rate, you can be able to do that. All right, so using the same formula is that simple. So this is how we solve maths for finance problems that involve simple interest. When we meet in our next slide, we'll be trying to compute compound interest. Compound interest, not simple interest, where interest can be compounded annually, semi-annually, quarterly, weekly, daily, and so on. And then we have the other one we call continuous compounding. So we should be able to learn all these aspects of maths for finance: simple interest, compound interest. All right, so please, in order not to miss all these interesting topics in maths, don't forget to click on the red subscribe and on the bell notification so that you won't miss any of our exciting topics in mathematics. For you to be the mathematician that we want you to be, don't miss any of our topics in mathematics. And please, if you enjoyed our class, don't forget to give us a thumbnail by clicking on the like. And if you have any question whatsoever, please drop it on the comment section and we'll respond to your question. Until we meet next in compound interest, please stay blessed. We will see you in our next slide. Cheers.